And a very good evening to our viewers tonight. Thank you for joining this week's edition of Talk to Sven. And thank you for your passionate participation on last week, my page, Talk to Sven. Once again, as usual, I have Selma Moses, who does the sign language interpretation. Selma, thank you for joining us again. And then I have two special guests, the one you know from last week, which is Stacey Pinto again, who is the CEO of the Namibian Trade Forum. And of course, our young founder and CEO of Black Gold Engineering, Pedro da Fonseca. Also, welcome, Pedro, who is joining us and will be listening a lot about what he has done. Over the past 2 weeks, we've talked a lot about local support and growth at home. And we all know that is the key factor going forward. One of the most important things we need to get right is to grow the local economy, because at the end of the day, it's only the local economy that is going to grow the jobs, provides us with the forex that we need, the import and export balance, and we all know that it's hard work. But I think with the last week's episodes, we tried to show and showcase, like we will do today, it is indeed possible. We've invited various guests over the last weeks, as well as the retailers that showed their experience and their views about this very important topic. We've also got the Retail Week coming up, and Stacey will be telling us more about that in a few minutes. So as we continue to talk about local support, as well as this whole growth at home, it's very, very important to have local young entrepreneurs and innovators. So, Stacey, how important is that we have our own local entrepreneurs and innovators?
Sven, I think it's crucial. So for me, entrepreneurship and innovation go hand in hand. You cannot be an entrepreneur and not be innovative, because by nature, entrepreneurs constantly have to be responding to different changes in the economy, in the market, etc. So you're constantly on a journey of learning how to do things better, quicker, and cheaper. And obviously that means that they're harnessing their skill more, they're becoming a bit more competitive, and so when exposed to the markets, they obviously can compete a bit better and more fairly. So for me, the two absolutely go hand in hand. And speaking to just the need around local production, if we have a thriving entrepreneurship culture in the country, and obviously married to that is innovation, as you said, that directly transcends into jobs, into better wages, into better working conditions, and obviously for our economy. So that couldn't be more crucial, especially so in a time such as this.
That's why it will be very exciting to hear about Pedro's story in a moment.
Absolutely.
And Pedro, before we step into your world, we will have a look at a video which gives us an overview of what you have achieved. Let's see the video.
Welcome to Black Gold Engineering. My name is Pedro da Fonseca, founder and CEO of Black Gold Engineering. Over here at Black Gold Engineering, we are an LED manufacturing company where we design and manufacture our very own LEDs right here in Namibia. We've also now started assembly, also right here in Namibia. Let me take you through. Okay, this is our production line where we set up with about 5 different products that we supply right here in Namibia. Okay. Over here, we've got our downlight LED rows. We design and manufacture this. It's all our own products, and it comes down as a downlight, which is offered in 5 different forms. Okay? Our downlight also only consumes 3 watts of electricity, which is a tenth less than our current competitors. Okay? Meaning that it saves you light, and it's brighter than the current light.
To my surprise, I fell in a place of me. I had to take it through that ghetto university.
Our next product is our street light. This is our Black Gold engineering streetlight. What our streetlight does is it uses about 10 times less electricity, saves about 70% in costs compared to, and it lasts 60 months, 5 years longer than our current streetlights that we've got on. It also comes in a die-cast aluminum shape, which is guaranteed for 30 years. It doesn't rot and it doesn't rust. This is our streetlight for Black Gold Engineering.
Visitation, we made it borders to take me back. I've been more supportive. I made mistakes. I broke my head.
Moving on to one of our other products is our high bay streetlights. We have got two variations of our high bay streetlights. Over here, one is being assembled. This is our 100-watt streetlights. Our high bays are used in high ceiling warehouses and so forth. And the reason for two variations is because they work in two different heights. And over here, we've got an assembly of our 60-watt high bay light. Over here, this is our QC area. This is where every single light that comes out of the production line is tested, and every single one is tested for either dimming, lower, and yellow or white lighting. If it is found suitable, it gets a tag. If it's found unsuitable, it takes another tag that takes it back to production line. Over here, we're testing one of our 60-watt high bays. Okay. With the test we're doing over here, it's a regulation test to make sure that it is currently consuming the power it's supposed to consume and giving out the output it's supposed to give, which is in relation with what we're telling people it does. Right. After it comes and goes through one of these many tests, it is then boxed into its individual boxing with its labeling and so forth. And then from here, we move it to our finished good area. Here we are in our finished goods areas. We've got our street lights, our down lights, and our high bays. BG is all about innovation, but we still have a variety of lights coming, and I'm sure we can cater for your every single need. Please do call us and contact us on the links below.
Well, that is the story of Pedro at this very moment. And I'm very pleased to have Pedro with us here tonight. Pedro, welcome. What a story. Tell us.
Thank you
How
very much.
did it start? What did happen? Was it an idea? Was it a thought? Was it a crazy moment? Or what is it? How did it all start?
Okay. From start, it started as a project. So working as an engineer in my previous job, we were tasked to take on the current lighting situation. We were putting in bulbs and replacing them every third day and so forth. And we then made the mistake of ordering LED lights. And because of the heat and everything in the mines, the LEDs go faster as well. And I noticed it's because of the drivers and the inverter systems that are so inefficient, the ballast capacitor, the whole electrical setup of the light. So I took it upon myself to do a study, and I started tinkering in the back of my garage. Before I knew it, it became a full-blown project where I couldn't wait to get from work home because I remembered something to add. And then I started communicating with foreign parties, namely Japan, Texas, and South Korea. And I was able to put something together where I have removed ballasts, igniters, XYZ, which are the heavy components, heavy consumers of your lights. And why it's an invention is because I have got onboard PCB where you have your lights and your circuitry all on one PCB board. And mine is one of the brightest amongst them that we can even use to an extent as a street light, which now is also can use as a high bay and also now as a downlight. So what I went and did is I finally proved it. I proved it world over that it works. And then I went ahead and I patented in 5 different continents world over.
Wow.
Yeah, we patented in the United States, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, and the Oceanias, which is Australia and New Zealand and so forth.
What an amazing story. Now, tell us, what was, I mean, surely it wasn't easy. Was there?
No.
I mean, just for our other entrepreneurs now, tell us, how was that? What happened? And, what stood in your way?
Okay, so firstly, what happened is I started realizing that I no longer could give it attention to my individual job because I needed the same 8 hours to give attention to my project. So then I had to make the decision to give up my job, focus on my project so I could grow it.
So you had to sacrifice your income.
Yes. So the first thing was the choice. You have to look at the life you're living, the income you're getting, and then who you're supporting. I've got a wife, I've got kids. So all of that had to go into consideration to such an extent that you then need to make your intentions known, and take the first step of jumping into the river with both feet, not feeling the temperature because nobody prepares you for it. That was the first step. That's the hardest step because everybody that's supposed to be your support group goes against you. Your parents ask you, what are you doing? Your friends are like, you're crazy. People are actually start telling you, don't come ask for loans, When
Already in advance.
Yes, because they say the first step of an entrepreneur, friends and family. Oh, well, they turn on you very quickly. So finance was the next hurdle. Getting finance is a problem, especially in Africa. It becomes a hurdle because we don't have a lot of institutions put in place that can support startups and entrepreneurs. A lot of the times you only have a vision and a dream, and this person doesn't understand it. So you cannot really get it across. You need to put time to build a prototype first. And so even those are very limiting constraints. And then it is living, everyday living, going through what you left behind to try to build yourself. It's not an easy step. You will fail a lot of times. It will keep you back. You will notice that once you are up here, now you're down here because you want to be an entrepreneur. Road is not easy. Myself, I went through getting evicted out of the house, getting things repossessed, to taking taxis, stopping along the way to an important meeting because your car didn't have fuel, and then you had to jump into a taxi to get there. These are not things you see in movies. People are actually living this every day because they're trying to. So the most important thing to take from this is to not stop. The tenacity behind it. You need to be able to push yourself to get through it. So that's more or less some of the hardships, if I can play it down.
Wow,
for you.
unbelievable. When I just hear that, you also you said you contacted people in the world out there. I think that's also a very important factor. Tell us more about that, because I think if we see the Simon Sinek movie, on the law, on the purpose, and you also can see that we need to learn from each other,
Yes.
and build onto that. Tell us more about what have you done? How did you go about then, getting
The financing and so forth.
Yeah, and also knowledge maybe from others. You contacted people. I need this or I need that. Tell us more about that. Maybe to give help to.
Okay. So, firstly, when I registered my light, I got approached by a few people who had to approve my patent. They saw what I had and they told me, listen, this is actually something. Can we enter you in a competition to represent Namibia? Namibia has been struggled to get representative as a competitor in the SADC Inventions Fair, which took place in Joburg, I think. And I said, yes, why not? So when I did that...
That you did before or after the patent?
So I registered a patent in Namibia first.
First?
Before I went, yes. So when I did that, I went to Joburg, and something told me, it's how is it that these people can see the value? I won the competition, by the way, but how is it that they can see the value of this product and I can't? And that's when I started to invest a lot of time in that. So that made me start reaching out to a lot of people. So I don't want to mention institutions, but calls were made first to assist with financing and getting it to the first step. People request things that everyone will request. They want to see a business plan. They want to see a structured financial breakdown of 5 years So you need to be able to envision it in that way. And then and if it doesn't look good, they don't want to touch it. It needs to make financial sense. So what I had to do is I called a few people, I failed a few times, and then I decided, look, I am very technical, I'm an engineer. Let me get help from a business person. Let me get help from an accounting person. Let me get help from a financial person. And this led me to meet BFS, Business Financial Solutions. And they helped me draw up a business plan and a financial plan. And I actually looked investor ready. And with that, and also me winning a few competitions abroad, I was able to then send this to a lot of investors who were very interested in investing. I said no to UK investment of up to 30 million pounds. I said no to investment in Dubai. I said no to investment in Silicon Valley because I wanted to do it in Africa. And they say they've got financial factors put in place that they can't really invest in Africa. But I stood to my grounds because I want to leave a legacy. So I told them if it's not in Africa, it's not happening. So I said no to them to come back home, start here. But because I had good backing with the business and the accounting and so forth, I was then able to acquire a grant, a seed investment that then saw me grow to where I am now, which is not very far, but it's significant.
So when you say you got an offer, so basically they wanted to buy your patent?
Yes. So I spoke to the CEO of the then CEO of GE UK, General Electrics, and he told me, listen, 30 million pounds, you sign over your patent, we build the company, you run the company. What does that sound like? I told him, sounds great if we do it in Africa. So he was like, no. So it was a meet and greet chat. And he told me that I need to take the offer there and he will call his PA to set up everything. Because if he leaves that door, he won't remember me or the number or whatever the case is. And I was like, well, I'll take my chances. And he actually said, congratulations, and see you when you finally get there. Yeah, so I said no.
And the main reason is your passion that you want to bring this to Africa. Is that what?
Well, the truth is that, like I said, Sven, I want to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that in the UK. It is congested. Everyone's done it. Everyone's done everything.
Sure.
And if you get there, they consume you. I mean, my competitors have got 140 years on me, Philips, 80-odd years, Osram, and Cree, which is the youngest, around 47 years. And me, just starting. And now I go to Europe and I'm trying to get into that market. They're going to crush me. So I'm doing it from here. It will be slower, but it will eventually get there. And the name will be able to be remembered. I mean, currently I'm the only black-owned LED manufacturer in the world. So,
What an amazing story.
It is, absolutely. I think for me, what really stuck out is the rationale or the reasoning behind you starting this. It was in response to something you saw wasn't working. And sometimes maybe that's where entrepreneurs get it wrong. There's nothing wrong with dreaming and wanting to be innovative, but you have to understand your why. Because that's what is going to allow you to have that longevity. Because on any given day, he understands exactly why he started and where the gap is.
Yeah.
So for me, that is just amazing.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean that's something very special and dear to me. We talked about is the purpose. The purpose. Why do you do what you do?
What you do, yes.
And it's for you to leave a legacy, and to leaving a legacy, you will do anything.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You gave up your job. You basically gave up your income. You got stuck without petrol. All these things, but to be able to live your purpose. And I think that's for young entrepreneurs very important. That one has to have a purpose to drive the ultimate and major success.
Yes.
Now, with the bulbs, I'd really like to understand because you buy these. You said Osram and these different other brands, no? And then you got this thing, 30,000 hours guaranteed, and then after 1 year you have to replace it.
Yes.
Is that the reason? Some of the reason?
No.
Why
Okay. So they've got certain tests that they do in the labs, or compression chambers and so forth, whereas it does a ratio calculation. So in other words, it reads the lights, how the light's performing, how the deterioration of the lights would be, and then it says, okay, this light will work for 30,000 hours before it gives up. That is just, and it's only applicable to LEDs because of the electronics that go with it. You can't do it with a normal incandescent light bulb.
Yeah, sure.
So that's just a science behind it. Now the problem is that, again, not to mention names, but the components used in these lights are the problem. Not the light, the components.
Right.
So they've got a lot of capacitors and little things in there that actually die out before their time. The problem is them. So they will die out very quick before your LED actually goes out. So you have to change the circuitry. In my case, I've got a different kind of PCB, which is on an aluminum plate to help with cooling and heat dissipation. Then I've got actually heat-resistant components that go with my lights. So they together can run. I have currently got lights up in the mine I worked for since 16th February 2016. Up until today, not one has burnt out, not one has been replaced, not one has been moved. And it's in an area where we had a group of people called Lumpy Boys, where they had to change it every 3 to 4 days because of the heat and so forth. So the lights would go like this. I put lights up there, and those were my test lights. They're not even my
Wow. I did want to ask whether they bought your lights.
I know.
So it's encouraging to hear that they've been your client.
Well, I think I need to replace my LED lights, and then I have peace after that. Anyway, Stacey, very this is very amazing, and I think one thing is the innovation around the LED bulbs and so forth, but I think the bigger thing is the mindset. How important is that mindset for us to grow the economy?
I think that, so firstly, just speaking to some of what Pedro is talking about, I'm really interested to know the components that you say are the ones that burn out. Are they cheaper?
Yeah, so I was talking in relation to, yes, they get cheapest things you can get.
Right.
And I'm very careful because a lot of, to do tests, research and development, you need to take these things apart.
Yeah.
And then you test them with what you have, and you start understanding why it is that it's so cheap or inefficient.
Yeah.
It's because they look for the cheapest of the cheap,
Yeah.
because they want to mass produce.
Yeah.
And that's what they sell you.
Yeah. The reason I ask that is because you can see clearly, and that touches very closely to the issue around purpose. From inception, from when he started, he was very clear about what the problem was and how it was going to be fixed. And so already, if your mindset is tuned to understanding how you're going to fix the problem, you're not going to compromise on quality. To you, I need to fix this problem no matter what. So mindset is not only important to help you shift into entrepreneurship 100%, it filters across how you actually do business. Because if your mindset from the start was sort of flimsy and you weren't clear about what your intent was, it will show in how you conduct the business. Yeah. So like he's saying, those components are cheaper, but that's not what he was looking for. He was looking to fix a problem. So that mindset absolutely filters through how he's doing business even now. And obviously we can see the results. And I really love the point around quality control as well, because sometimes that's where the gap is. That's where we fail. And that's where we have issues around why should we buy local? The product isn't as great. So we absolutely have to be intentional about making sure that when we put something out, it's worth the money. When we say buy Namibian, buy local, if we put our product versus another one, it'll compete just as well. So that quality control and quality check is absolutely key.
Very good, yeah. Stacey, also on the NTF, what role can the NTF play when you hear you're a young entrepreneur and so forth? Just in a nutshell, I think to understand, for the viewer to understand.
Absolutely. So when I learned that he was coming on the show, I was very, very excited because I know of his story, but I haven't met him. And so already I'm thinking, what can we do? I was speaking to him and asking him, are you retailing? Are you in the stores? Because obviously as the NTF, that's something we can create a platform for him to have those discussions. I was actually saying to him, can you be in the stores by the 8th of October? Because I think it's a brilliant success story. It's fantastic. So not only in terms of market access, which is something we do at the core of our work, but also just barcoding your product. I don't know what you've done in terms of that. The NTF is absolutely happy to help you with that process. And I will be stealing him after this.
Actually, your fellow colleagues have been to the warehouse.
Oh, yes, that
have
is
got-
amazing.
They have got barcodes.
Brilliant,
on the product.
brilliant. That makes my day, Sven. I'm happy.
Yeah, just it with you.
You see, a good leader gets sometimes the information only later, no?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah. Pedro, how difficult was the support? You know, the support from a local community, and I think you touched on it a little bit before. But I mean, also to share, how did you get through that one? Because I mean, Stacey talked about the quality, and I understand. I mean, you're a consumer and you buy. You don't know whether it's going to work tomorrow, for example. No?
Yes.
I mean, all these things are important. How did you overcome this to convince?
So that was something I had to learn on the job. We always think we've got an idea and we're going to put it out there and everyone's going to love it and that's boom, you set. No. So when we came out, I've been pitching, example, City of Windhoek since 2017 to buy my lights. It's 2020 and they still don't have one of my lights up. But I do have lights in Nored, Chumeb, Ochivarongo, Ludret, and soon in Oranjemund as well. And we looking at all other municipalities. I mean, we've got Kitmansop's interested in it, but the long and short of it is that I had to go out there and I had to prove my product. So I started off with a street light. And with a street light, you can't just put one. You need to put at least 10. So this person tells me, no, show me your product, show me you're committed, show me you can, and let's see where we go from that. So you have to take money from your own pocket, and you have to put up these streetlights at your own cost. And then you go into an agreement, okay, 60 days, 90 days, that the light's going to stand there. So you're going to put in a meter so that they can show that, okay, it is more cost-effective and saves electricity, and so they see all of this, and then they see that it's bright and it covers a larger area, and then they talk about, okay, well, now we need to go to Exco. And then the problem by Exco is, no, we do not have money. You need to come up with a payment plan in which we could help you. And so it's very, very tricky. It's very, very stressful. And sometimes it helps to be informed that there are people out there that can push your product for you, that can help you get into the market in these kind of ways. But again, it was a process I needed to learn growing up. So for now, I've been doing, what do they call it, pilot projects all over the show just to prove my concept. But
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I hope the City of Windhoek is listening, for sure.
I do hope.
Stacey, next week we have got the retail week.
Yes.
When exactly, again, does it start, end? What's the objective of it?
Good. So excited about it. It's the first that's of its kind in Namibia. We're going to run the Buy Namibia Week from the 8th of October right to the 12th. But the whole Buy Local campaign starts on Thursday, which is the 1st of October, and will run through the whole month. So basically what we're trying to do is to create a bit more awareness about what is produced locally, how it impacts livelihoods, how it impacts communities. So our consumers will be able to walk into a store and see exactly what is produced. I'm sure they will be shocked because I think at the top of our mind is milk and bread, but there's a breadth of products. Just last week, I came across some young youth in agriculture. They've produced a soup from the traditional ombidi, the Oshwambo spinach, and they're retailing, and it tastes amazing. So that's the kind of thing we want to see. That's the activity we want. That's us encouraging entrepreneurs to get into local production. So that's what's going to be happening from the 8th to the 12th. We have Spar, Woolworths, Food Lovers Market, Agra, Pick and Pay, and ShopRite.
Wow. And how does it look like? You go into a retail store and then you got a section?
Yes. So Food Lovers Market, for instance, they've given us their Vernhill store. They're literally going to re-engineer their whole store. So the bottom part will only have Namibian products on shelf.
Sure.
Absolutely. So even from the top, if you look down, all you will see is Namibian products. In other shops, obviously, because some are in food and sort of different ranges, they will have banting that will quickly and very nicely identify what is produced local. So it'll be very visible, very clear once you walk into the store.
Wow. Can't wait.
I can't wait either. I can't wait. And I think we chatted earlier, this is not a once-off for us. That is absolutely the culture that we need to get into. It is the first of very many events, but we can only get better from now. We can only grow from now. So excited that we've finally gotten to this point.
Yeah, and I think that's the what Pedros showed. His mindset was he was even giving up income to do the incredible, the unbelievable. And I think some of us, we all have to think a little bit like this.
Yes.
By maybe sacrificing something, but knowing that it could generate jobs for others.
Exactly.
And thereby creating more and more employed. Basically taking people out of the street.
Very, very true. And like Pedro's story, I mean, it's an exciting week coming up, but at the core, at the heart of it, is to show Namibia what is possible. It is to expose them to the fact that, look, it's possible for you to produce this in Namibia, and most importantly, it's possible for you to get shelf space. Because the key challenges with a lot of producers is market. How do we get into the shops? I'm sure you can relate to that story. So that is phase one of us literally bringing to life what it means for you to be able to produce locally and get onto the shelves. It's absolutely possible.
That's great. Wow, wonderful. Pedro, what's the name? When are you going to look in the shelf? How's it?
It's going to say Namlux.
Namlux.
Namibian Lights, product of Black Gold Engineering.
All right, Namlux. So remember.
Look out for that. Look out for that. To the viewers as well.
Yeah, exactly. Namlux. How many people are you employing so far?
We've got circa 15 people employed.
15?
15 people employed.
Wow.
Once again, I always say times 20, 15, that's an impact on 3,000 people.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It's that ripple effect.
Wow. Yes, I'm actually very proud for that transition. It actually took me, right now we're looking at 12 months since I got funding to where we are today.
Wow.
So we were able to move into a warehouse. We're able to impact, again, not just me, but 15 other people's lives. We went from prototype to a finished, completed, certified product.
Wow.
And then we tripled this because now we went from street light to highway to downlights. And then we were able to get the governance of the company solidified. We are now able to trade locally and regionally because of our setup. And we did this in under 12 months.
Wow.
And you cannot do this without your team. So I'm actually very happy about the 15 people I got.
Wow.
Nice.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I always say that Namibia, obviously, depending on which side of the fence you're seated, sometimes our population can be an advantage or a disadvantage. But for a product like yours, very quickly, the Namibia market will be consumed, and obviously it will push you to go into the region. And that point around Namibia being the gateway into the rest of the region is absolutely on point with that. So that's very encouraging to note.
As you say, 300 million consumer on the doorstep. Just
exactly.
Minus or plus our two. Or
What
to see that. I think we are already at the end of the show. Time is going so fast, but I need to read this comment from Salma Pedros to you. The fact that someone places all the entrepreneurial challenges as plain as they are without hiding anything is quite a motivation. Many ideas are left hanging because we are too cowardice to monetary suffering, which overshadows the ability to emerge victoriously. And then we've got from Gerald Cooper, Pedro, I hope you are willing to share your experience and knowledge in processes where new entrepreneurs can engage. It is possible for someone also thinking to go into entrepreneurship can visit your workshop and have a feel of how it works. I think the one is asking to sharing your knowledge, and I think that's we're doing tonight. The one thing, and then surely can people contact you to come visit? By the way, I also want to visit.
Yes, I'm always encouraging. Please come over. Please come have a look. It is not much, but I feel that it's the small steps that will grow you.
Sure.
You know, so they are most welcome. I'm willing to share. Mr. Brown, the gentleman who's got Satcom, he's also got a very huge space with production, but he's got 37 years experience in that, you know, and what I saw from where he started to where he reached, I was like, I'm a millennia away. But he did it, you know, so it's possible for me, it's possible for anyone else. So if it will help,
That's great.
you can definitely come over.
Any final word from you?
To the entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
I would say that dream big and dream big enough for it to scare you, but it needs to scare you awake, because if you never get up and start working on your dreams, that's all it becomes, a dream. You know, somebody told me that you went from idea to actual, which is something you never see, because so many people just don't have that to get there. So sometimes if you see someone else doing it, or if you're able to encourage someone else doing it, you know, why not? So that we can all be up there together.
Wonderful. Your dream needs to...
Scare you away.
Exactly. Stacey, last comment from you.
8th to the 12th of October, go out there, support local, take pictures, tag yourselves. Let's be proud of what we produce in Namibia. Let's understand what the impact is. Let's understand what our dollars mean to our economy. So let's go out there and support local.
That's great. Stacey, thank you very much. I think I would really like to say thank you once again, Pedro. Stacey, for being here.
Thank you, Sven.
Dear viewers, I'm really ask you and encourage you to look out for these bulbs. Nemflex LEDs, that's one thing you can do and make a big difference. Remember, he's already created 15 jobs, which is an amazing story. And then also, as Stacey said, please join the Namibian Retail Week. Go out there, see for yourself what others have done. And I think that should give us hope. You know, one of the issues we have is not enough, or we don't give ourselves enough hope. There is hope at the end of the day. And have a look what's possible. Also, Selma, I'd like to thank you for supporting me always. And of course, all your commentary. Until next week, have a good night. And thank you very much once again.